Hi, this is State Representative Seth Grove. Welcome to another edition of Legislative Report. Today we're at Spring Grove High School. We're going to be doing two awesome things. We're going to be talking to Mrs. Celeste Barnes, teacher here at Spring Grove, who's done some awesome stuff with her environmental classes and the students here between high school and the sixth graders. And then we're going to talk to Mr. Hastings about Spring Grove's Rocket program, which has done some awesome stuff and has participated in some NASA competition. So we'll start off with obviously protecting the environment and Mrs. Barnes. So you have utilized your class structure to do some really awesome projects, student-led, within your science department. Can you give us a little background of how that started and what was the kind of beginning thoughts?
Absolutely. My students are extremely capable and they have an incredible environmental conscience. Mm-hmm. So we started back in 2010 and we started a Earth Day program here, mm-hmm. where my students create lessons on environmentally relevant topics, and then they bring up all 300 of the sixth graders for one day of lessons outside. It's a great activity. The kids are all involved. They have a great time, and it's something they really take away some relevant data with them, mm-hmm. and relevant information.
So 300 sixth graders,
yeah,
juniors, seniors,
yes.
Maybe 20 students, 30
yes.
students, somewhere around there, and they develop all the lesson plans.
They do.
Sixth graders come out,
yes.
participate in multiple different, I'd say, projects, activities
right.
throughout the day.
Yes, my students have learned everything from how to create a bell ringer, to lesson objectives, to activities, to completing closure. And we've done this without any casualties. We've not lost anybody in the pond. We've had no bad experiences. Everybody's had a great time.
Yeah. And what led up to this? Was it a brainstorm of yours? Did someone in class come up and say, let's try to educate sixth graders? Was it a department level discussion? Just kind of happened?
It started with the kids wanting to do something special. You know, it mm-hmm. was the commemoration of Earth Day, and it was the fact that we have so many abilities and skill sets here that we wanted to use them. Mm-hmm. And the kids oftentimes get, slighted on what their capabilities are, and we mm-hmm. wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've been to a couple, and I'm always impressed at the engagement of the sixth graders, what they're learning, and also the engagement of the students, mm-hmm. and how they take it very seriously. They're very professional, and it actually goes really great.
Oh, they have put in so many hours of mm-hmm. planning. They are so tired of me telling them you need to go back mm-hmm. and rethink this, and you need to over-plan everything, because the last thing you want to do is to have a bunch of kids staring at you and not have a plan.
Awesome. So let's take a look at a couple of the projects for this year, and see what's in store for the sixth graders as they come up and get some education on environmental.
All right, so we're going to have 4 lessons this year, and we'll just walk through the students that are going to be presenting those lessons, and they can tell you about the main goal, mm-hmm. what do they want to get across to the sixth graders, and how they're going to do it.
Awesome.
All right.
I am a senior at Spring Grove, and our project is the benefits of wetlands and also the threats of wetlands. So when we have the sixth graders, we're going to go over certain benefits like water purification and flood control and different habitats and stuff. And basically what that does is it gives the sixth graders a knowledge of why wetlands are so important and why we need to protect them and preserve them.
I'm Clayton Ace. I'm also a senior at Spring Grove High School, and I'm going to be covering the threats of the wetlands side of our topic, and I'm going to explain to the sixth graders what happens if we don't have wetlands and what they do as pollution and flood control. And we're going to use examples like Hurricane Katrina.
I'm Sean, I'm a senior. We're going to be covering invasive species, more native species like multiflora rose, mile-a-minute weed. And we're going to be informing the students on where they come from, where they originate from, how they can be avoided, how long they last, stuff like that. And we want to tell them how harmful they are and how they affect our environment.
Our group is focusing on sustainability, specifically how we use the resources in our ecological footprint that impacts the earth. And what we're focusing on specifically is forest, soil, water, and fossil fuels, and how we have a limited supply of all those on our Earth. And to round up our activity, we have a special activity that we happened to find on the internet, but we adapted it to our use to show the kids that their footprint does make an impact on this earth.
Our project is on composting and recyclables. We want to teach the kids about some different vocab like brown to green ratio in the compost bins, which is the nitrogen-rich compost to the carbon-rich compost to make it decompose well. We're also teaching them about decomposable, biodegradable, non-biodegradable, and compostable substances, which are just substances that could be broken down by organisms or the forces of nature like wind, water, and organisms. And we just want them to know how much compost can help the environment, such as putting nutrients back into the soil and reducing space in landfills by doing the compost.
We also want to talk about recyclables and how important they are, and we want to show them what recyclables are made out of. We'll actually have a table with materials of all different recyclables at our station.
We're talking about the importance of bees and pollinators in our environment, and we're also talking about the importance of them for our food supply and the differences of what our food supply would look like with and without pollinators.
Along with that, we're teaching about the waggle dance, which is a dance that bees do in the hive to tell other bees where flowers that can be pollinated are. And then another lesson is colony collapse, and that's basically a disease that affects bees' hives and worker bees. It's a parasite that kills the worker bees, and then eventually the colony collapses, and it's really bad for the environment. And then here's just pictures of the importance of bees. Here's supermarkets with bees, and then without over here.
One of the things the environmental class has done is maintain a huge wetlands project here at the school, as well as some rain gardens out front. So Ms. Barnes, can you tell us a little bit about the project behind us and what it took to get us here, and continuing how it's utilized within the classrooms here at Spring Grove?
Absolutely. Back in 08 and 09, when we moved to this building, we saw an opportunity to use our landscape as an outdoor classroom. So basically, we turned a trench that had been left behind by construction into a functioning wetland again. It had been wetland around here before the school was put in. We restored functioning ecosystems, and my students were part of the design, and they are definitely part of the maintenance of this. And they're out here all year round. They do water studies, they do soil studies, they look at food chains, they remove invasive species, which unfortunately we have many of. So it is definitely a hands-on learning experience for them.
So even with probably biology, there's many different creatures and animals that now thrive in these areas. What do kids have to deal with when they come out here?
Well, one of the facts of life in this region of the country are things like ticks and mosquitoes. There's poison ivy. But it's much better to learn about this in real life than try to get this out of a book or online. This is hands-on, and the kids embrace it. They get out here, they get dirty, and they don't want to go back in the building.
How important has this been for the education success of students? You know, I asked how many within your environmental 2 class, how many are non-traditionally honor students, and probably 3/4 of the class raised their hands. Just the connection with the adaptive nature of this, the ability to actually learn hands-on, as well as the in-classroom kind of theory behind it. How critical has this been to the advancement of education here at Spring Grove?
This has been paramount in students' understanding about their connection to the environment and also their impact. They leave my classroom understanding about what their role is, and they understand how they can help. It's not all about the bad. There's a lot of good that's going on. And, you know, just being able to restore a functioning ecosystem here, they understand more about that when they're out here doing the work versus being inside, which is part of the job too, but being outside is certainly a lot of fun.
Hi, here we are at Spring Grove's Veterans Garden, which Memorial Garden, which is a tribute to those who have fallen, who are Spring Grove graduates in the line of duty, whether they're a police officer, firefighter, or one of our branches of the military. Mrs. Barnes, let me start with you. What it took to build this, and then we'll talk to one of your students about what this means to them as an individual who goes to school here.
All right. Back in 2010, one of my students was Cameron Stambaugh. And he was killed in action in Afghanistan a couple years after his graduation. And upon his death, my students and I were very moved to the point that we knew we had to do something, not just in his honor, but to honor all of those who give so much to the rest of us for our freedoms. And that's where the idea of this Veterans Memorial Garden came from. It grew into a memorial for all service individuals who die in the line of service, whether it's firefighters, police, emergency responders, or our military. And we have 9 names on the wall right now. And it took 3 years to design and create. And again, my Environmental 2 students work to maintain this here. It is what we consider hallowed ground. It is a very important statement for our community to understand that these people will never be forgotten.
That's great. And as a student, what does this mean to you?
Well, I remember when it first started, and I felt it was pretty cool and important to remember the people who fought for our country and gave everything for our country and our freedoms. So it was pretty important to me as a student to not only take a role in helping take care of it and further the Veterans Memorial, but just to know that it's here and that we do remember and care for the people who are serving our country and gave everything.
Great, thank you. And now we're gonna probably head to talk to Mr. Hastings about some rockets. So
right.
thanks, and I just want to thank you on behalf of everybody in Spring Grove School District for the great work you're doing here, and as far as the great education you're providing the students. It's outstanding.
Thank you.
Once again, we're here at Spring Grove High School, and we got to spend some time with Mrs. Barnes on her environmental class, see the amazing things they're doing in environmental science. Today, we're distinct pleasure with Mr. Hastings, physics teacher here at Spring Grove, also head of the Rocket Club, which has done some amazing things to the tune of being involved with NASA. Some awesome kind of adaptive science built for the kids so they can not only get the fundamental book learning, but they get to apply what they've learned and build some really awesome rockets. They've done some amazing things. So can you walk us through to the starting of the Rocketry program?
Yes, I will. Thank you for coming today. We started at about 15 years ago in our AP physics courses, having a rocket building project after the AP exam as a kind of combination of everything they learned in physics. And then about 2 years after that, Team America Rocketry Challenge started, which is shortened for TARC. And it is a nationwide competition where each year about 700 teams compete for specific challenges. This year they had to get a large chicken egg up to a height of 775 feet and back down in 41 to 43 seconds.
Wow.
And we've been competing in TARC for about 12 years now. And in TARC, the top 100 teams advance to nationals, which is in Manassas, Virginia. And if you place in the top 24 there, you're invited to participate in NASA's Student Launch Initiative program, or SLI. In 2012, we placed in the top 20 for the first time. We actually placed fourth in the nation in TARC, which the following year was our first SLI team. In SLI, the program is to design, build, and launch a high-powered rocket that will take a scientific payload to a height of 1 mile. And it would be a reusable rocket. Along the way, it's a year-long program. It starts in September, it lasts through May. And the team has to do educational engagement opportunities with middle schools or intermediate schools. They have to do fundraising. They have to do oral presentations with NASA reviewers. They have to complete design reviews, preliminary design review, critical design review, etc. These are things that any NASA supplier or any NASA project has to go through. NASA's Space Launch System, or SLS, just completed their critical design review in the last year. And we had to complete a review about every month and a half throughout the program. And that includes a report of roughly 60 to 70 pages about our project and a 30-minute oral presentation via video conference with NASA reviewers. So it's a very intense program that culminates with a launch in May for Huntsville, Alabama.
The Rocketry Club here, it's not connected to any class. It's open to really any student who has an interest in doing some awesome scientific experience and just shooting off rockets.
Correct. Every fall we held announce any student interested in participating in TARC or SLI are able to come to the preliminary meeting. And it's normally by interest and people that are willing to work for it because it is a challenging program. We also have invited middle school students to be involved in TARC as well. The number is normally roughly about 40 to 50 students that are involved across the board with TARC and SLI. The SLI students normally have some TARC experience, but it's not a requirement this year. It's about half and half. And then this year, for the first time, I wrote a new course called Applied Physics, Aerospace Engineering. And where it wasn't a requirement that you participated in one of the teams, some of the class members were part of TARC or SLI, and were able to learn a lot of the background about the programs. And it wasn't a course that's specifically designed, this is what you need to do for TARC, this is what you need to do for SLI, but it was specifically on rocket design, it was on rocket testing and rocket flight, the National Association of Rocketry and NAR Safety Code, et cetera. And as a result, they're able to apply all of that knowledge for what they're doing in TARC and SLI.
That's some amazing stuff. I'll tell you what,
Thank
let's maybe have some of your club members kind of review the rockets and the different components and what they're looking forward to.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we're here with some of the students who obviously are the backbone to this awesome club. Very unique. I think we're the only school in the county, at least, participating.
We're the only high school in the state. That does this. Yep.
And then the only high school in the Northeast that participated in the NASA Student Launch Initiative. That's as correct. Well, right?
Yeah.
So very unique, some amazing stuff, and you guys should be very, very proud of all the work that you puts into this. So little background, give us what we're looking at, how you guys do the design, and obviously all the awesome stuff that goes into rocketry.
All right, well, first we made this. This is our small subscale, and it's made out of just fiberglass. And we actually designed it on a program named RockSim. And we designed the whole thing, and we built it. And then a little bit later, we launched it, and it actually launched successfully. So then we progressively moved up to the larger one, which is our full scale. This one's 4 inches in diameter. And on the launch pad, it weighs about 23 pounds. So then we cut all the body tubes, we put everything together, and then we spray painted it and applied all of our logos.
That's awesome. How long does it take to design a rocket?
Here, yeah.
Okay, so like our first SLI meeting we all just sat around and was like, hey, what should we do for a design? And that's where our funky fin can design came from. It only takes a couple minutes because you plan out how much it's going to weigh, and then you think about how long it's going to be, and then you have to think about the rest of your components. One of our tricky things was our payload, because that was what we didn't know a lot about during our first meeting. So we had to make some changes along the way, but yeah, it only takes like 5 or 10 minutes to completely design and get like your first like rough draft going, and that's where the subscale came from.
So with your subscale, you shoot this off, and things aren't working right. So you have to go back to the design board and rework fin design, nose cone.
Yeah. So like this one launched successfully. So we just upscaled it by a factor of 3, and that's how we got our this one. We actually had 2 of these. The second one we did something different. Instead of having black powder ejection, we had CO2 ejection, and the tube was too long, so it didn't eject. So we knew not to do that. So that's why we use the black powder ejection.
Gotcha. And what are the keys for? Because it's kind of, do you have 2 people that have to turn this simultaneously?
Yeah, that's actually, it doesn't have to be on simultaneously. It's just one of the keys is for our primary, and then one of them is for our secondary. So once these would turn and you'd pull it out, and then that means the rocket's armed and it's ready to go on the pad. And that's just so when we're carrying it over or anything, none of the black powder or the motor can ever go off. Just a little bit of a safety feature.
That's awesome, awesome. So how long have you been in the club?
I've been in the club just since the beginning of this year.
Okay.
And then
I've also been since the beginning of the year.
Awesome. And has it been valuable for you as far as education applied?
Yeah, it's definitely helped me progress my idea for my career.
And what do you want to do?
I want to go into biology for aerospace.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I also looking into this as a career because I wanted to be an aerospace engineer, and I saw we had this program, and I was like, hey, this is amazing, because I had no idea we had this. Like my freshman year, I didn't know this was a thing, and then I got into it this year, and I really enjoyed it because it gave me a lot of insight into what that's going to be like as a career.
Yeah, I think we have one other presenter to do. You did some design as well, the kind of tail fin here.
I took the 2D design they had and I converted it to 3D design on SolidWorks, and that allowed us to 3D print it because it's more of an object.
And probably with 3D printing, it didn't take very long. You plug in the design and the printer just goes to work.
It takes a few hours, I believe, but it is relatively fast.
Okay.
Yeah. To print our fin can, we actually have our sponsor T Connectivity. They specialize in giant 3D printers, and they actually printed this for us completely free.
Wow.
And just they also give us grants. They've given us a grant almost every year that we've had it. They give us $7,500 this year to fund our rocketry program. So that's really great.
That's awesome. Great. All right, we're here with Sarah and Emily, and they are also rocket team members. Sarah is in charge of the payload, which is kind of the scientific study of the purpose of sending the rocket up in the first place, besides having fun and just shooting something into space, right? Yeah. And then Emily is in charge of the educational aspects, trying to engage younger rockets, and also fundraising, which is a critical part of keeping this entire operation going. So Sarah, why don't you start off and discuss what we're looking at and what kind of payload you're looking at doing this year?
Okay, so like you said, it's a scientific experiment. We do one every year for SL, and this year we decided to go with a non-Newtonian fluid called oobleck. Basically, when you apply pressure to it, it solidifies, and when there's no pressure applied, it liquefies, and you've probably seen videos of people running across it on the internet. So we decided to figure out what happens to oobleck under G-forces. Does it solidify? Does it liquefy? Does something else happen? So we came up with this payload that has a 12-volt DC battery, a latching relay, a timing relay, and then 2 test tubes and a solenoid valve. So basically what happens is when the rocket goes up, the latching relay is going to send energy to the timer, and the timer is going to open up the solenoid for about 5 seconds or more. And when the rocket hits the peak of its descent, it will shut off, and either the liquid has moved down to the bottom or it has stayed in the top, depending on if it's solidified or liquefied. And what we found is it solidified. However, it actually separated the water and the cornstarch a little bit, so it was a cool experiment.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Emily, you're in charge of the hard part.
Yeah, real hard.
Fundraising is tough, but let's start off with the education aspect. So what do you focus from the kind of education aspect of this?
Our main focus for the education is just to reach out to the younger kids, like the intermediate kids, 5 and 6, 7, 8th grades. We just try and get them as involved as possible. We have our TARC program, which the 7th and 8th graders can get involved in, and we're just trying to reach out to the even younger kids, just get them involved, just show them what we have to offer and that kind of stuff. They love it. They really do. It's just awesome to watch them build little rockets and launch them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you just go into the 5th and 6th grade, the intermediate school, and they were all. How high up do their little rockets go?
I don't think they
feet.
go. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
it's very high. I think it might be like
Under 200.
Yeah, it might be a little under 200, about 100 feet. Yeah.
Awesome. And you're also in charge of fundraising,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
all the rockets, traveling, going to the NASA, student launch initiatives, all that, you guys self-fund. So you guys need to raise dollars every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some interesting fundraisers, and I think grants and fundraising and everything total, I think we raised about $26,000 this year.
Wow.
It's a decent amount of money.
But it goes to a great cause. Obviously, all of the educational opportunities from the youth to the high school level and well beyond that is encompassed in all that. So if I wanted to donate to Spring Grove Rocketry Club, who do I contact?
You would want to contact our physics teacher or our school office, and they can send an email or a message to Brian Hastings, which is our physics teacher. And we also have our website, which is sgrocketry@weebly.com.
And
Twitter, yeah, we're on social media, just about anything.
Yeah, but we'll make sure we get that up at the end of the program, just in case if anybody wants more information or wants to obviously make, more importantly, a donation to this awesome adventure in rocketry. They can do that. So thank you both so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Unfortunately, that's it for Legislative Report. I'm State Representative Seth Grove. Join us next time for another edition of Legislative Report. If you have any questions on anything you've seen during this episode, contact information from my office will be at the end. Thanks. Have a great day.